You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what He actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Good morning, happy Thursday, happy Jupiter Day. How's everybody feeling? I know the transits kind of kicked my butt a little bit last night. We talked about this yesterday at the beginning of our live stream, but the moon formed this trine to Mars at 11 p.m. Pacific time, and before that it was connecting with Neptune in the afternoon, and I got so tired so early, crashed on my couch at like 7 p.m. and then woke up right when that trine between the Leo moon and Mars was happening, and then couldn't fall back asleep because I had this like burst of energy. So I'm curious if you guys felt that as well. Also, how did I miss this? Happy official first full day of Aquarius season. We're here. We made it. If you are curious about what's to come in Aquarius season, or just want to kind of tap into that Aquarian energy, want to learn more about it, go back and watch yesterday's live stream, because we dive into what Aquarius season is all about, what Aquarian energy is all about, and what major transits are coming up over the next 30 days. So if that interests you, it's all there on my YouTube channel or on thespiritualjournalist.com. Good morning. Someone is saying, Rachel's saying, I had the weirdest dreams last night. Yeah, Moon trine Mars can do that too, and depending on what time zone you live in, it might have been happening right in the middle of the night for you. And the moon forming a trine to Mars, it's like a harmony between our emotions and our energy. So sometimes if we are in a deep sleep state, we can, have more active dreams, right? For me, I just couldn't sleep. I just was like, okay, I'm awake. So yeah, thanks for sharing your experience with that. But today the moon is now in Virgo. So that's all that's going on today. We don't have any other major planetary transits really affecting us much at all. In fact, let me show you this chart, because I think it's a good representation of the fact that the moon is really ruling the story for the next couple of days. Let me pull this up for you here. Let's see. Yes. Is this it? No. Wrong screen. Hold on. All of these data points that I use, or sites where I gather all the data for the transits, I use astroseek.com. But from afar, they all look very similar. It's just a lot of numbers and words. Okay, so this is a chart I like to refer to just to understand the general energy happening each day. And this chart just shows the major planetary transits within a degree of each other. But you can see January 18th through the 22nd is blank, because we don't have any real connections going on, or major connections going on between the major planets. It's all just moon transits. So today and tomorrow is going to be all about the moon. However, on Sunday, we do start to see some action picking up. So as we go through the weekend tomorrow, we'll touch on that a little bit. But yeah, the next couple days are just us and the moon, just hanging out with the moon. All right, let's look at the chart now. And you can see the moon is already It's not the right day. Hold on. It is already in Virgo. There we go. So the moon entered Virgo at 6 this morning, Pacific time. And the moon in Virgo makes us a little bit more analytical and practical with our emotions. It's that earth energy. So, Virgos are they have very high expectations and pay attention to the details. We will be more aware of the details, all of the parts that make up the whole, not just, physically, aesthetically, but also in our routine, because Virgo is also all about that routine. So we will be more aware of how those small habits make up our entire routine while the moon is in Virgo for the next 2 to 3 days. And I say all of this with love for you, Virgos, or people with Virgo energy. I am one of you. I'm a Virgo sun and Virgo rising. So I know we love the details. We have very high expectations. We can be a little bit critical. So, everyone under the Virgo moon tends to be a tad bit more critical. Just keep that in mind. Try to give other people grace. Try to remember other people can't read your mind. And, people don't necessarily have the same expectations of themselves that you have of them. So also, this is a time where we're really reflecting on our expectations of ourselves. And so just a reminder here, as the moon is in Virgo, not to be too hard on yourself, okay? This is a waning moon. This is the time to release, to let go. And, maybe this is a time to let go of expectations. And in this moon phase also, it's a time of introspection. So really look to your inner self and ask, what expectations am I having of myself that maybe are unfair or are a little bit too, am I being too critical of myself? How am I speaking to myself? How am I serving myself? Virgo is the sign of service. So how are my habits serving my overall health? How is my mental chatter, the words I'm saying to myself in my head, how are those serving me? Over the next couple days, we'll really feel nurtured by wellness in general, taking care of ourselves. And in the body, Virgo rules the digestive system and our intestines. So the next couple days are really a time to think about how you are fueling your body as well. The moon, we tend to pay more attention to what's going on with our bodies. I've said this before, but the moon controls all the tides on the earth. Of course, it controls our bodies as well. And we tend to think of the moon ruling our emotional state, which it certainly does, but our bodies are very much ruled by the moon as well. So pay attention to how you're serving your body, how you're taking care of your body, all the little parts that make up the whole, what you're putting into your body, and remember that you can't serve others until you serve yourself first. If you are not in a healthy place, you can't help other people get to a healthy place. And if you have a lot of Virgo energy, you probably love helping other people, you love being of service, but all of us can get this reminder under the Virgo moon to fill up our own cup first, take care of ourselves first, have that routine first so we can make the space, we can make the time, we can give the energy to other people. Yeah. All right. I'm loving all the feedback on Instagram today too. I was just thinking about this yesterday, got into energy and major structure. Yeah. So this is really a time to focus on how you're taking care of yourself. Couple different connections the Virgo moon makes today. First, happening right now actually. So if we look on the chart, you can see the moon at 1 degree in Virgo is forming an awkward angle to the baby sun, the fresh sun in Aquarius. Actually, that is still sitting at 0 degrees because the sun just moved into Aquarius at 6 o'clock last night. So right as the moon entered Virgo, it made this connection to the sun. And when the moon and the sun connect each other, we think of this in terms as our inner self and our outer self. connecting with each other or relating to each other. This angle, though, is called a quincunx. It's an imbalanced angle, so it's one sign off from a complete opposition. And when that happens, there's this imbalanced, awkward energy. So we might be waking up this morning, and it sounds like it from all of the comments that are coming through, we might be waking up feeling very emotionally aware of the adjustments we need to make. Our internal self is telling us, like, okay, not everything is quite sitting right with me today, and it'll feel like we can't fully show up as the best version of ourselves. We know we need to make a couple different changes, and not just to be our best selves, but to fully express our true selves. Because remember, we talked about this a lot yesterday when we were getting into the energy of Aquarius season, but you know, Aquarian energy, when the sun is in Aquarius, it's all about expressing what makes you different, what makes you unique, what makes you authentic. It's that individual energy showing up as yourself within the collective so you can share your energy with the global community, with the whole world. You can share those things you're passionate about. This angle between the moon and the sun this morning is showing us, okay, internally, I have these thoughts, feelings, these desires, and externally, I haven't necessarily been showing them or portraying them. So we're more aware this morning of the adjustments we need to make to fully express our authentic self. However, the Virgo moon definitely, you know, Virgo is the sign of the Virgin. It definitely has a modest, pure energy to it. So when the moon is in Virgo, it definitely makes us feel more reserved or more modest, even though the sun is in kind of outgoing, spunky, eccentric Aquarius, the moon is in play it safe Virgo. So that's that awkwardness as well, where we're like, we know deep down we want to express our authentic self, but the moon in Virgo is like, I don't know. Is that safe? Do we really need everybody to see all those things? You know? So if you're right there, don't worry. You're right on track. You're right in line with the transits today. You can see why those energies don't exactly flow with each other. When the moon moves into Libra over the weekend, it'll be much easier to express your authentic self. Both the moon and the sun will be in air signs. They'll flow with each other beautifully. So just take these next couple of days to reflect on what's really weighing on your heart and what parts of yourself maybe you're holding back or reserving. Maybe you're afraid to show to the world. So once the moon moves into a more favorable position to the sun, you can more easily express those things. Here's the main transit that's dominating today. It's Jupiter day, so of course a Jupiter transit's going to be the energy that's really felt the most today. The moon opposes Jupiter in Pisces at 2 this afternoon. Oh my gosh, you guys, the accuracy. Well, thank you. I love the feedback. Getting feedback is so helpful for me to let me know that I'm on the right track, that you guys are feeling the energy too. Very validating, so thank you. All right, so this opposition between the moon and Jupiter happens at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So let's just fast forward so you can kind of see what that looks like. Here's the moon. She's in Virgo, Jupiter in Pisces, that exact opposition there. So what does this mean? Normally with Jupiter transits, there's a very positive connotation, and there can be here. There definitely can be. There's always a darkness and a light potential with each transit. So this transit, when the moon and Jupiter are exactly opposite each other in the chart, it has the potential to give us a boost of energy, a boost of optimism, just good feelings in general. However, oppositions are like this make or break energy. So while it's easier to be more generous and share our emotions when the moon and Jupiter oppose each other this afternoon, it can also lead to overindulgence or excess, both things that Jupiter are known for. So, you know, this transit can open us up to feeling these big emotions that maybe we might not be able to totally make sense of at the moment. And if we're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, it could be very easy to reach for something quick to make us feel good, right? Reach for that drink, reach for whatever your vice might be to feel good. not always a bad thing, but just something to be aware of, especially if you are prone to more addiction or checking out, especially with Jupiter and Pisces. Pisces are kind of known for checking out into their own little world. So, if big emotions come up, beware of just checking out through substances, through any sort of distraction, through any sort of addictive tendencies, not just substances. We are all addicted to something, right? So if you're feeling that discomfort, I would just say try to sit with it, and in that Virgo energy we were just talking about, ask yourself, how can I serve me right now? Okay, I feel uncomfortable. Why is this coming up? How can I take care of me? How can I serve myself right now? It's great to have fun and to be able to check out, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but like I said, this is especially true if you're already someone who knows you have some addictive patterning. Just beware this afternoon if those big emotions do coming up. And Rachel just asked, how will Jupiter going into Pisces affect people with Pisces placements? That is a great question. So I would pay attention, if you have your full chart, to what is right in the beginning of Pisces in your chart right now, and where that Jupiter is going to be activating those placements the most, kind of amplifying. Jupiter is the amplifier. So if you have some low degree Pisces placements, you're probably feeling those placements a little bit more strongly right now. It's hard to say exactly how you're going to be activated without looking at your chart, but as always, you can book a reading with me. I have a reading called the Gemini. I'm actually doing one this afternoon where I look at your chart and the current placements, and I'll tell you exactly what is affecting you the most right now, how to use the energy right now, how to align with it. But I would say pay attention especially to not only where Virgo or where Pisces placements are in your chart with Jupiter and Pisces, but also where Virgo placements are in your chart, because Jupiter will be opposing those placements. So, for example, Jupiter is at 4 degrees in Pisces right now. Do you have anything within the first couple degrees of Pisces, maybe the first 10 degrees, and also within the first 10 degrees of Virgo? Those placements are going to be activated the most at this moment, especially with the moon opposing Jupiter today. I would say if you have placements in those areas, you will feel them today. Big emotions. Not always a bad thing, just big emotions. Good morning, Susan. Thanks for being here. All right, the last transit we have to talk about is another awkward angle. Today's kind of an awkward day with the moon. So just you're here, you're prepared for it. Just know that if you're not feeling 100%, if you're feeling a little funky today, it will pass. Just take care of yourself first. That's what the Virgo moon is asking us to do. So the last awkward angle is between the Virgo moon and Mercury retrograde. It's this quincunx again. So that happens at 6 o'clock Pacific time this evening. Wherever you live, it's probably going to be nighttime. And you can see it here. The moon, when it hits 6 degrees Virgo, Mercury retrograde is at 6 degrees in Aquarius. Again, this is that awkwardness between Virgo energy, being more modest, being more pure, kind of being more reserved and analytical with our emotions, and Aquarian energy, Mercury retrograde being in Aquarius, makes us want to, connect more and express those quirky, weird sides of ourselves through our thoughts, through our words. Especially while Mercury is retrograde, we're doing a lot of reviewing of the things that make us unique, how we're expressing ourselves authentically. So if you're this transit, this awkwardness between the moon and Mercury, because Mercury rules our mental state, it can make it hard to make sense of your own emotional state, right? Especially after that opposition between the moon and Jupiter could bring up some big emotions. By this evening, it could be a little uncomfortable to figure out, okay, like, why are these feelings coming up for me? That is par for the course with this transit. So again, today's a day to really learn how to sit through discomfort and serve yourself regardless. Someone says Sun, Mercury, and midheaven in Virgo. I've been so sensitive today, which is not usually like me. Yes, all of those placements for you. which makes sense. You know, sensitive, emotional, all things ruled by the moon, and with Jupiter in Pisces, that definitely amps up the sensitivity too. So anyway, this last transit we're talking about, the moon connecting awkwardly, forming this imbalanced angle to Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde really wants us to be outspoken and, well, Mercury in Aquarius does, I should say, and be passionate, but we're also at the same time reviewing how we're communicating. We're reviewing the causes we're passionate about. So, you know, this transit late tonight, if you have Virgo placements, I'm right there with you. I'm an overthinker, you guys. I overanalyze everything. And if you have Virgo placements, you probably can relate. So, especially with this awkward angle to Mercury, this looks like overanalyzing, overthinking, trying to make sense of your emotions, and just having a hard time getting there and finding common ground between your thoughts and your emotions. So, like I said, the key to working with this energy is to nurture yourself, take care of yourself, serve yourself, ask yourself what she needs, what he needs, and, you know, just kind of wait for this awkward energy with the moon to die down. Tomorrow, we shouldn't have quite as many awkward placements. Actually, tomorrow, I think we have a lot more positive placements because the moon will start to connect to some of the planets in Capricorn, and you know, Capricorn, Virgo energy work beautifully together, both are earth signs, so there's a lot more positive that can come out of those connections. I woke up today really wanting wine. I don't drink. Interesting. Okay, so if you were watching when I talked about the moon opposing Jupiter this afternoon, and right now the moon is already within a couple degrees of that opposition, so we're already feeling that energy of, I don't like how I'm feeling, so I just want something to make it feel better. I'm not sure if you relate to that, but you know, the moon opposing Jupiter makes us very much prone to overindulgence. So just be aware of that, you know. The Virgo moon can help us, though, in this way because, okay, yeah, you're feeling that. The Virgo moon can help us in this way because, you know, as a Virgo, we can be very determined, and the Virgo moon can kind of bring out that side of us that's like pure and modest and like, I have these expectations of myself. Now beware not to have too high of expectations of yourself to where you're like torturing yourself, but we can be more like buttoned up and I don't know what the word I'm trying to pull here is, but like we can be more like on our best behavior with the moon in Virgo, especially now that you're here, you're aware of this energy today that makes you want to overindulge. The Virgo moon is like, honey, slow down. Okay, you're fine. Just take care of your body, take care of yourself. You don't need all the other things to make you feel good. Like, let's keep our body as a temple. Let's keep it pure. Okay, that's what the Virgo moon is telling you. So let's just do a brief wrap up of today's energy and then we will pull a card. Today is all about the Virgo moon. No other major planetary connections over the next couple days, so the moon really rules the story. And today, the Virgo moon is making some uncomfortable connections. First, forming an awkward angle to the sun right as we start our day, making it feel like our internal self and our external self are struggling to find common ground. We want to feel more expressive this Aquarius season, but the Virgo moon makes us feel a little bit more modest and reserved. By the middle of the day, the moon forms an exact opposition to Jupiter in Pisces, which makes it very easy to reach for a quick fix to feel good. So if you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, beware of overindulgence or addictive tendencies. And the final connection the Virgo moon makes is another awkward angle to Mercury retrograde, which can make us very prone to overanalyzing and very much critical of how we're speaking, how we're thinking. So pay attention to your internal self-talk, especially today, and try to give yourself grace, serve yourself under this Virgo moon, take care of yourself, and know that these uncomfortable emotions will pass over the next 24 hours. All right. I'm going to pull from the Moonology Oracle deck today. Let me pull up the guidebook. If you have any more questions, this is a great time to throw them in the comments and ask. and I will try to answer them as best as I can. You know, always the disclaimer that if I don't have your chart in front of me, it's hard to say exactly how things are going to affect you, but you can definitely ask questions about the general energy. Or I love when you tell me if things are feeling spot on for you, or if you're feeling the energy, let me know. So I love on days when we're only talking about the moon to pull from a moon deck. Just seems right. Maybe that's my Virgo-ness coming out. Just being super specific. Let's see, we'll shuffle 3 times. One more. Okay. What do we need to know today? Oh God, this is such a Virgo Moon card. Your dreams need a practical plan. Oh my gosh, it's actually the full moon in Taurus card, but it makes a lot of sense. We're talking about earth sign energy coming off of the full moon. Maybe you really reignited your dreams or realigned with your dreams under the full moon over the weekend. And now as you're doing that introspection in this waning phase of the moon, you're like, okay, what's the plan? And that could be part of the overanalyzing, the uncomfortable emotions that might come up today. You're like, I want to do all these things, but how am I going to do it? And trying to figure out all the details right now. Okay, let's just give ourselves some grace. We don't have to have it all figured out today under the Virgo moon. And I'm not just saying that to you, I'm saying it to myself too. Because the Virgo moon is activating me too, to the person who was saying, saying I have all these placements in Virgo and I'm super sensitive. Yeah, I'm right there with you, girl. I'm right there with you. But the beauty, as always, of following the astrology transits is knowing the energy you're dealing with, understanding it's not all in your head, okay? There are other energies at play here, and understanding them can help you flow with them more easily. So here's the description for this full moon in Taurus card we just pulled. Your dreams need a practical plan. Sometimes you need to weave a bit of magic, and sometimes you need to be practical. And sometimes you need to find a combination of the two. This card suggests that this is where you are now. You need to use the laws of attraction to draw in what you want by imagining it, expecting it, welcoming it. Hello, Aquarius energy. But you also need to balance that with taking down-to-earth steps toward your goals. Hello, Virgo energy. This isn't about wishing on the moon and hoping for the best. It's about making something like a list of bullet points about how to achieve your dreams. Like, how could this card be more accurate? If you're asking about money, this card heralds a change of financial fortunes depending on both your past actions and what you're expecting and therefore attracting. I'm really glad the description talked about finances, because this opposition between the moon and Jupiter that's really ruling the story today that so many people are already saying they're feeling, Jupiter is the planet of abundance and good fortune and manifestation. So this opposition can also make it feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so far away from all these big dreams and goals I have. But understand that you're not that far away, okay? Even if it feels like it, even if the emotions feel uncomfortable, try to lean into that Jupiter energy of serving yourself, of aligning with the energy you want to call in, and that should help you move through that opposition more easily. Here's the little assignment it gives you in the guidebook. Write down 10 things that you know are wonderful about you. I love that assignment for today. You know, like I said, the Virgo moon energy makes us very critical of ourselves, very critical of other people. So writing down, and also Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so writing is a really powerful way to use this moon. Writing down 10 things you know are wonderful about you. Yes, serve yourself. Serve yourself today. Treat yourself. Yeah. Oh, love this. This also says the full moon in Taurus is a time to get back to earth, get grounded, work through any with, and being passionate and being overly intense. Money issues may come to a head at the time of this full moon in Taurus. Of course, we're not talking about the full moon, but pay attention to this card. as a sign to look to your cash flow no matter when you draw it. Okay, so anyway, kind of the same thing. If abundance is something you're struggling with, get into the energy of abundance, okay? Jupiter and Virgo in your 5th house. Okay, so your 5th house is really going to be activated by the moon over the next couple of days. For you just watching, lean into a creative practice to release your emotions. The 5th house is all about the inner child, all about creativity, but it also can make our emotions feel a little bit more dramatic. And it sounds like if the Virgo rules your 5th house, Jupiter is opposing your Jupiter potentially. Again, it's hard to say without looking at your chart, but yeah, the Jupiter energy could be strong for you. Let's see. People are saying accurate, mapping out more structure. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I think you mean Virgo being ruled by Mercury. So every sign has a ruler, and it depends what sector of astrology you study, but in traditional astrology and modern astrology, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So if you are a Virgo, if you are a Gemini, and if you are an Aquarius, you're probably affected more by this Mercury retrograde because it is retrograde in Aquarius, and because if you're a Virgo or a Gemini, you're ruled by Mercury. So just something to keep in mind and pay attention to. But, you know, working through the moon phases, or working with the moon phases, I should say, it is a nice thing to pay attention to, you know, what sign the moon is in, what rules that sign, what energy rules that sign, how do we use that energy to work through emotions. So writing, journaling, speaking, all great tools to use when the moon is in Virgo. And again, this waning phase of the moon is a time for introspection, so journaling can be a really powerful way to move through uncomfortable emotions, or speaking to somebody you trust. If you have a therapist, having a therapy session in the next couple of days would be great timing. So yeah, that's what I mean by Virgo being ruled by Mercury. The moon is in Virgo. How can we use that more mercurial energy to process our emotions? Lots of engagement today, you guys. I love days like this. All right, that's going to do it for me. Gotta go, gotta get prepared for the rest of my day. But if this video is helpful for you, please go ahead and like it down below. Subscribe to me on YouTube so we can continue putting out these live streams for free, bringing this information to you for free. It's really important to me that this is accessible to everybody. So trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize the YouTube channel. And also, a lot of people today were asking, okay, how does this affect me? This is where this is in my chart. I mentioned it before, but you can always book a reading with me to either understand your chart better or understand how the current energy is affecting you. So lots of options, and you know, I'm also wearing my Be the Light shirt. Here it is. If you want one of your own, you can find it at the Spiritual Shop, thespiritualjournalist.com/shop. Lots of ways to connect. I'll be back tomorrow morning for your Friday look ahead at the weekend, talking through what's going on with the Virgo moon, the Libra moon, and then on Sunday we have a conjunction between the Sun and Mercury retrograde, so that will be fun to talk about tomorrow. As always, I hope you have a beautiful Jupiter day, a beautiful Thursday. I hope that you are able to flow through today's energy with ease and grace, and I hope to see you right back here tomorrow morning. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.